Libra is often called indecisive, too accommodating, too gentle to lead. But what if that gentleness is their strategy of power? In a world that rewards loud voices and fast decisions, Libra appears calm, almost passive. They pause, they observe, they listen, and people mistake that pause for weakness. But Libra is the only sign represented by the scales, not a warrior, not an animal of instinct, a symbol of justice. Scales do not react, they measure, they calculate, they restore balance. Libra does not overpower. Libra outbalances. Their strength comes from a rare combination that few truly understand: cardinal leadership, air intelligence, Venusian charm, Saturnian structure, soft on the surface, solid at the core. There is a specific astrological reason Libra can be both gentle and unshakable at the same time. And once you see it, you will never confuse their calm with weakness again. Libra is not passive. Libra is cardinal air. Air signs rule communication, ideas, perception. They move through conversation the way wind moves through a city, invisible, yet shaping everything. Libra does not just speak well, they read the room. They sense the emotional temperature. They understand who holds tension, who feels unheard, who is about to erupt. This is social intelligence at a structural level. Gemini exchanges information. Aquarius redesigns systems. But Libra builds relationships. They understand that every room has an invisible architecture made of alliances, expectations, and unspoken rules. And they know how to rearrange that architecture without anyone feeling pushed. That is air. But Libra is not just air. Libra is cardinal. Cardinal signs initiate. They move first. They set the tone. Aries initiates through action. Cancer initiates through emotion. Capricorn initiates through ambition. Libra initiates through atmosphere. Libra does not wait for harmony to appear. They create it. They open the dialogue. They phrase the difficult question gently. They introduce the compromise that saves the team. What looks like accommodation is often strategic placement. What looks like neutrality is often leadership in disguise. When conflict enters a space, Libra does not panic. They assess the imbalance. They identify the pressure point. Then they shift the energy just enough to stabilize the situation. This is not accidental. This is cardinal air in motion. Libra understands that control is not always about force. Sometimes it is about influence. If you can shape the emotional climate, you shape the outcome. They are not spectators. They are architects of equilibrium. And here is the key insight most people miss. Libra's desire for harmony is not weakness. It is direction. They move toward balance the way a compass moves toward north, deliberately, consistently, intentionally. Libra does not drift through social dynamics. They design them. But to truly understand their power, you must look at the axis they stand on, because Libra is never alone in the zodiac. They are mirrored by their opposite. And that mirror reveals the deeper tension behind their strength. To understand Libra's power, you must look at the axis they stand on. Every zodiac sign sits opposite another, forming a polarity. Libra's opposite is Aries. Aries represents instinct, raw individuality, direct action. Aries says I am. Aries moves first and thinks later. Aries fights for personal desire without hesitation. Libra represents the mirror, relationship, strategy, reflection. Libra asks, how does this affect us? This axis is not random. It is a balancing mechanism built into the zodiac itself. Aries acts, Libra considers. Aries asserts, Libra negotiates. But here is what makes Libra powerful. They understand both sides. They understand instinct because they are opposite it. They understand confrontation because they are constantly balancing it. Libra sees the fire of Aries and calculates the social consequence of that fire. In a heated group argument, Aries reacts immediately, voice raised, position declared, energy sharp and direct. Libra watches. They track who feels attacked. They sense who is withdrawing. They measure the long-term impact of every word spoken. Then they speak not to win the argument, but to win the relationship. Here is the question Libra silently asks in every conflict. Do you want to win the moment, or do you want to win the connection? That is strategic thinking. Libra does not sacrifice themselves for peace. They calculate peace as an investment. They balance personal interest with collective stability. They know when to assert, when to soften, and when to redirect. This is not indecision, it is calibration. Because Libra stands between me and we, they understand the tension between self-interest and partnership. They can hold both realities at once. That dual awareness gives them leverage. They can negotiate without losing dignity. They can compromise without surrendering identity, and that is rare. But this ability to balance instinct and consequence does not exist on its own. It is fueled by something more subtle, something magnetic, something that makes people lean in rather than resist. That force is Venus. Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus is not only about romance or beauty. Venus governs value, attraction, harmony, the way something feels when it enters a space. Under Venus, presentation becomes persuasion. Libra carries this frequency naturally. They understand first impressions. They know that ideas are not accepted only because they are logical. They are accepted because they are delivered well. Libra does not just present an argument. They frame it, they refine it, they make it digestible. This is aesthetic intelligence. Imagine a Libra walking into a meeting room. The lighting is cold. The energy is tense. Two sides are already divided. Libra does not speak immediately. They sit, they observe posture, tone, micro-expressions. Then when they finally talk, their voice is steady. Their words are measured. They acknowledge both sides without shaming either. The temperature shifts. People listen, not because they are afraid, but because they feel seen. That is soft power. Venus gives Libra the ability to make others feel respected. And when people feel respected, they lower their defenses. They become cooperative. They become open to influence. Libra does not force alignment. They attract it. They choose their words, like an artist choosing colors. They soften harsh truths without diluting their meaning. They create harmony not by avoiding tension, but by reshaping it. This is why Libra often becomes the center of gravity in a group without trying to dominate it. Their presence stabilizes the atmosphere. Their tone becomes the reference point. Venus does not conquer through fear. Venus wins through appeal. But do not mistake this charm for fragility. Venus in Libra does not operate alone. There is another planetary force that strengthens this softness from within, giving it boundaries and spine. Because harmony without structure collapses, and Libra, at their highest expression, does not collapse. Saturn represents discipline, structure, law, consequence. It governs boundaries and accountability. Saturn does not negotiate with chaos. It builds frameworks that endure. In astrology, Saturn is exalted in Libra. This means its energy functions at its most refined expression here, and this changes everything. Libra does not seek peace at any cost. They seek just peace. There is a difference. A fragile peace avoids conflict. A Saturnian peace establishes order. Libra, at their strongest, does not smooth things over to keep everyone comfortable. They set standards. They define fairness. They draw lines when necessary. Libra does not only want harmony, they want harmony with rules. This is where the rare combination becomes visible. Venus gives grace, Saturn gives backbone. Venus attracts cooperation. Saturn enforces boundaries. Together they create balanced authority. This is why Libra can appear gentle, yet remain firm under pressure. When pushed too far, they do not explode impulsively. They withdraw warmth. They adjust access. They restructure the dynamic. And that restructuring is quiet but final. Libra understands that relationships without boundaries become unstable. They know that kindness without structure becomes self-sacrifice. So when they mature, they stop pleasing and start calibrating. They choose who gets proximity. They choose who gets negotiation. They choose when enough is enough. Saturn in Libra refines their sense of justice. It teaches them that fairness is not about equal emotion. It is about balanced responsibility. This is why a developed Libra can negotiate contracts, mediate disputes, and manage partnerships with remarkable clarity. They do not act from ego. They act from principle, and principle holds weight. But Libra's power does not fully activate in isolation. It reaches its highest expression in a specific arena, one that defines their entire sign. That arena is the house of partnership. Libra rules the seventh house. The seventh house governs partnerships, marriage, contracts, open rivals. It is the domain of one-to-one dynamics, where power is not abstract but personal. This is where Libra becomes fully strategic. In large crowds, energy can be chaotic. But in a one-to-one setting, Libra is precise. They read tone shifts. They notice hesitation. They detect imbalance in subtle body language. Every pause, every glance, every change in breathing becomes information. Libra understands that in partnerships, influence belongs to the one who shapes the terms, who sets the expectations, who defines the standards, who controls the emotional climate. And they do this without aggression. In negotiation, they do not intimidate. They clarify. In disagreement, they do not attack. They reframe. In rivalry, they do not escalate. They outmaneuver. This is relational mastery. Libra knows that sustainable power in partnership is not about overpowering the other person. It is about creating conditions where cooperation feels logical and natural. When people feel heard, they reveal their priorities. When priorities are revealed, leverage appears. This is why Libra excels in diplomacy mediation and any role that requires balance between two forces. They instinctively understand exchange, give and take, offer and boundary, compromise and condition. But here is where the misunderstanding begins again. Because from the outside, this careful weighing can look like hesitation. People say Libra takes too long to decide, too long to commit, too long to choose a side. They do not realize something essential. Libra is not frozen. Libra is calculating. And once you understand what they are calculating, the idea of indecision disappears entirely. Why does Libra seem indecisive? Because they see angles others ignore. When a decision appears simple, Libra sees the ripple effect. They imagine how it will shift relationships. They anticipate who might feel overlooked. They calculate long-term harmony, not just short-term victory. While others focus on outcome, Libra studies impact. Yes, this can turn into overthinking. Yes, it can delay action. When overwhelmed by too many perspectives, Libra may stall. They may revisit the same choice, repeatedly searching for the most balanced option. That is the shadow. But here's the truth most people miss. Libra does not move slowly. Libra moves accurately. They are not avoiding the decision. They are optimizing it. Libra is not slow. Libra is calculating. They weigh cost versus consequence. They evaluate fairness versus desire. They consider reputation, trust, and sustainability. And when they finally decide, it is rarely reckless. Their timing is strategic. Imagine two leaders facing the same conflict. One reacts instantly, asserting dominance. The other waits, gathers perspectives, studies alliances, then speaks at the precise moment tension peaks. The second leader changes the direction of the room with fewer words. That is Libra. They do not waste authority on impulsive reactions. They conserve it for pivotal moments. When mature Libra transforms indecision into discernment, they learn when enough data is enough. They recognize when balance has been measured sufficiently. And then they act with calm certainty. This is the difference between reactive power and calibrated power. Reactive power is loud. Calibrated power is controlled, and Libra belongs to the second category. When you combine this strategic patience with everything you have seen so far, the pattern becomes clear. Cardinal initiative, air intelligence, Venusian charm, Saturnian structure, relational mastery. It is not a random mix. It is a formula. Libra's strength is not accidental. It is architectural. 5 forces converge within this sign: Cardinal initiative, air intelligence, Venusian charm, Saturnian structure, 7th house relational mastery. Together they form a quiet but formidable system of influence. Cardinal initiative means Libra does not simply react to social dynamics. They initiate tone. They start conversations others avoid. They open doors that tension has quietly closed. Air intelligence allows them to analyze patterns in human behavior. They understand alliances, motivations, and hidden agendas. They notice who aligns with whom, who hesitates, who holds silent power. Venusian charm softens their delivery. Their words are rarely abrasive. Their presence feels balanced, composed, approachable. This lowers resistance and increases cooperation. Saturnian structure provides discipline. It ensures that Libra does not drift into people-pleasing. It gives them standards. It gives them limits. It teaches them that fairness requires enforcement. Seventh house mastery anchors all of it in real-world exchange. Libra understands contracts, partnerships, and mutual benefit. They know that true power in relationships lies in clarity of terms. From this combination emerges a four-step process that Libra often uses instinctively. Observe, analyze, adjust, influence. First, they observe the room without interfering. Then they analyze the emotional and strategic landscape. Next, they adjust their tone, timing, and approach. Finally, they influence the direction of the outcome. Compare this to aggressive dominance. Aggressive dominance pushes, it commands, it demands compliance, it wins through pressure. Quiet influence guides, it redirects, it attracts alignment, it wins through consent. Libra belongs to the second group. They rarely need to raise their voice to lead. They rarely need to threaten to gain respect. Their authority builds through consistency, fairness, and strategic communication. People may not notice immediately when Libra takes control of a situation, but by the end, many will find themselves standing where Libra subtly guided them. This is not manipulation. It is calibrated leadership. And when this quiet dominance matures, something remarkable happens. People choose to follow. Libra does not impose control. They cultivate agreement. There is a profound difference between forcing someone to comply and creating an environment where they willingly align. Libra understands that sustainable power depends on consent. When people feel respected, they participate. When they feel cornered, they resist. Libra builds consensus. They ask questions that make others reflect. They present options that feel balanced. They highlight mutual benefit instead of personal gain. Over time, this approach builds credibility. Others begin to trust Libra's judgment because it rarely favors one side unfairly. It seeks equilibrium. Imagine a scenario where a team is divided over strategy. One member insists on a bold move. Another fears risk. Tension rises. Voices sharpen. The atmosphere tightens. Libra steps in. They do not declare one side wrong. They outline the strengths of each position. They propose a phased solution that incorporates caution and ambition. They reframe the disagreement as a shared objective. Gradually, resistance softens. The group shifts toward the proposal Libra introduced. Later, someone may say, "That was your idea, wasn't it?" But Libra never needed to claim credit. This is quiet dominance. People once dismissed Libra as too gentle, too diplomatic. Yet in the end, they find themselves walking the path Libra subtly mapped out. Because Libra understands something fundamental. Influence grows where trust is present. Fear may create obedience, but trust creates loyalty. And loyalty outlasts intimidation. Libra's calm demeanor is not a lack of power. It is controlled power. It is leadership without spectacle. Those who once underestimated Libra often realize too late that the direction of the room has already shifted. And this is where we return to the beginning. Libra is not strong because they are loud. They are strong because they understand structure, energy, and exchange. They balance personal and collective interests. They combine softness with spine. The greatest power is not making others afraid. It is making others believe. Sometimes the scales do more than measure justice. They measure your level of maturity. Libra is not powerful because they are loud. They are powerful because they understand structure, energy, and exchange. They read the room before they speak. They balance personal desire with collective stability. They combine charm with boundaries, softness with discipline. Libra does not lead through fear. They lead through equilibrium. True power is not making others afraid. It is making others trust you. If you recognize this strength within you, write in the comments, "I lead with balance." Because sometimes the scales are not only measuring justice, they are measuring your maturity.